Hello and welcome to Chi Connections. It's been a while since I've done a video, but you see the thing is I don't see the point in saying something for the sake of it. Why repeat something someone else has already said? You can go and hear it from them rather than me saying what somebody else has said. This is kind of what I want to touch on today. Please allow some of what I'm saying to sink in a little bit and give it some thought. And if you think it's got any merit at all, then you should go away and do your own research, come up with your own views, and come to your own judgments the way that I've come to mine. I want to share a little bit of something with you just to give you a little bit of something to think about. So let's start with posing a thought. It's a thought that I first started with when I decided I needed to do this video. First of all, I want you to think, how would you describe freedom of speech? You see, some people are far more vocal about their freedom of speech than others. And because of that, everyone's views can differ as to what freedom of speech actually means. The other thing I want you to think about is, when does freedom of speech start encroaching on other people's human rights? So when does your freedom of speech become aggressive and abusive to others? And when does your freedom of speech become brainwashing or conditioning? Maybe you think that's a bit of an extreme thought to have. But have a little look and see what brainwashing actually is. What and how it happens. In the past, I've referred to things as human conditioning, which starts when we are born. But basically, I'm talking about brainwashing as well. You see, we're expected to conform to social norms in order to be accepted by our peers. We are sent to schools to be institutionalized, to reinforce the social norms and what is expected of us in order to fit in. This ensures that everyone thinks and acts and is taught the same thing. And you're taught the same thing over and over and over and over again. They repeat it. Children on the whole, not always, but on the whole, they tend to have the same values and beliefs as their parents. Especially the much more subtle forms of brainwashing. The ones that people might not think are brainwashing. But when you think of it, what's the first thing anyone thinks of when they see somebody walking in the street? Do you think something positive, or do you criticise? And I know that's the first thing my mum does, and has always done. She's always criticised first, and it's taken a lot of practice for me to get out of that. When we're children, when we're born, when we're babies, the constant reinforcement of being told you're a bad child or you're a wayward child or something of that sort, it stays with us. And then we become what we're told we are. Being shown that or told that you're in the way, because brainwashing can also take the form of pictures and visual clues as well. I've had a lot of that. Being told to be quiet or to stop crying. You know, Hush now, no, it's all right, it's okay, no need to cry. We're all told that all the time, aren't we? Then this brainwashing is copied into our relationships. So we do the same to others that's been done to us. Each party have their own views, and each of us want to be our views to be accepted as the most valuable or the most valued, or quite often that's the way. I wonder how many of you can think back to arguments in particular when the conversation tends to go round in circles, each saying the same thing over and over and over again, or one getting annoyed that the other doesn't stop and listen to the constant going over and over the same content. My father, for instance, he would have to sit and listen to mum saying the same thing over and over, and she would get more and more angry and more irate, and in the end he would actually get angry himself and lash out at her. So she has enforced her view onto him. She's tried to brainwash him with her view, and at the same time, because she's going over and over it in her own head, she's brainwashing herself to believe in the same thing, and she's not accepting the other view. So, I don't want to accuse anyone of having doing this deliberately. We don't. None of us do this deliberately. But we've all done these actions at some point or another. And it takes a lot of practice and self-control to be able to just say your piece, because we need to express what we're feeling, but we need to do it clearly and coherently, giving the other party every opportunity to understand what you're trying to say. But we also need to afford them a voice too, one that you listen to, or we listen to, fully, giving them the respect that you yourself deserve. This doesn't mean you have to accept what they say, but at least you will be more informed about how they're feeling and where they've come from if you do. And some of what they say might actually change your view. It might give you a brighter outlook. But if you constantly interrupt them, screaming your side louder and louder and louder so that you're stopping yourself from listening to them, not only are you brainwashing them, you're brainwashing yourself, because you're constantly reinforcing this negative view. So you're closing yourself off to other views. And that is, in effect, brainwashing yourself. It's a bit like when someone has to say just one negative thing to someone. And it's that one negative comment that echoes in the brain for days, weeks, months, and even years. So we brainwash ourselves into believing that one negative comment. So if one person turns around one day and says, "Oh, you're fat," when you're not, then that's what you believe, because that comment goes in your head. And you keep saying, "Why does so-and-so think I'm fat? Do I look fat? Am I fat? I must be fat." And then it becomes your truth. And that's how we become ill. And if any of this makes sense to you, maybe instead of judging someone negatively and giving a disagreeable look, how about giving a smile and a positive comment instead? It's in my experience that something positive always means more when it comes from someone you don't even know. What would it hurt to try saying something nice to someone you don't know? Someone you've never met? Someone that you just pass on the street? Not just a smile. I've tried it a few times and people love it. They love being told they're wearing a nice dress or their hair looks good. Maybe it's time to spread the love through life and not the hate. Love always.